All right, man. Well, first off, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview with the Hype Magazine tonight.
Man, no problem whatsoever. I appreciate the opportunity.
And to get started, can you tell the fans and listeners who you are and where you're from?
I'm DJ Chuck T. I would like to say I am one of the hottest DJs south of the Mason-Dixon line. And I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, but I reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. So, I'm Carolina through and through.
Yeah. Now, do you think being from the Carolinas has made it harder for you or easier for you to get started getting into the music industry and chasing and doing this as your career?
It's a little bit of both. It's a gift and a curse. One of the horrible things about it is, I sort of had to forge my own path. I didn't have any gatekeepers. I didn't have any trailblazers who came before me and were able to open the doors for me. I basically had to chop down the trees myself. But also one of the good things about it is, let me make sure I put this the right way. Because there is not a lot of people that you can go to sort of get hot in the Carolinas, it has made me a hot commodity. So in a bigger city, like maybe Atlanta or Miami, Los Angeles, you have tons of people you can go to sort of get hot, get your music broken. There's a ton of competition. There's a ton of DJs and tastemakers in the area. Whereas here in the Carolinas, you got to come see
me. Yeah. Now, with you being from the Carolinas, and like you said, when you first started, there wasn't a lot of those opportunities and other people. How did you decide to get started in the first place?
Well, I love the music, period. I have a background as far as my family goes, being involved in music. So it was just something that was in me. It was in my blood, something that's been ingrained in me. But whenever you start talking about maneuvering in the industry, actually getting into the business, not just doing it as a hobby, not just doing it for fun, it was kind of tough. It was kind of hard. But I got my real start in the actual music business by working in a record store. So in Charleston, South Carolina, we had a record store called Cat's Music. And Cat's Music was a division of Music City Record Distributors, which had probably about 15 to 20 independent music stores spread throughout the Carolinas. And really the Southeast, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and North Carolina. In Georgia. So being on that side of the game gave me a lot of insight into sales and marketing. It gave me a lot of insight into reading analytics, reading media-based and BDS reports and SoundScan reports. Really, on the money side of things, what's selling, what's not selling, what's spinning on the radio, what's not spinning on the radio, who's doing a promo tour, what cities are they hitting, what cities are important to the campaign. So it just put me in a totally different side of the industry coming into the game than most people. Even though I still came in on the creative side, most people do come in on the creative side. Very, very quickly, I was sort of moved into the sales and marketing and reading analytics side, the business side of it.
Yeah. Now, for people who are not in the industry, they may not understand what you mean by the creative side and the business side of this the music industry. You mentioned the analytics and stuff, but when you were working at the record store, what was some of the things that you had a chance to do, like artists you maybe met along their promo runs, or some of the first relationships you got from being in that record store, that helped kind of expand your brand and your what you're doing?
Oh man, being on that side of the game was good because people were nicer to you because they sort of needed you to push their music. They needed you to help sell their music. They needed you to help promote their music. So it was a good thing coming in on that side of the game. Was it more genuine? Maybe. I feel like there wasn't a facade to keep up whenever you were dealing with the actual record stores, the record store owners, the people who push the music and so forth. But, man, when you start talking about reading analytics, we used to we used to get the Billboard reports. All
Yeah.
right. And we used to see who was selling, who wasn't selling. We would get one sheets. The one sheets would sort of tell us who was coming out, what records they were trying to push. We'd have to keep up with Media Base and BDS to see what was spinning on the radio. That side of the game was great. It was dope.
Now, being at Carolina, did you travel a lot outside of your market early on, or did you kind of lay the foundation in Carolinas and then expand your brand outside nationally?
Oh, I had to do a little bit of both, but I definitely made sure that I had my name ringing all throughout the Carolinas first. I made sure that before I went to Georgia, before I went to Virginia, before I went to Florida, before I took my ass to New York and took my ass to Los Angeles, I had a buzz back home. I had love back home. I try to explain that to people all the time. They feel like because we're in the internet era, the internet sort of supersedes all of that. But when it really, really comes down to getting a cosign and dealing with the real industry, all right, the check writers, the people who are in this to really make money and are in this to take it as serious as humanly possible, they want to read those analytics, man. They're going to call back home. They're going to see what's your buzz like back home. They're going to see who's rocking with you back home. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one of those things where people back home say you got it on lock, but people have to say they know you. All right. They got to say they know you. It can be bad. It can be good. But as long as they say they know you, it's going to work in your favor. But you can't skip that step. You can't skip that hometown. The internet has people fooled, and I feel like that's why we have so many artists and so many unsuccessful artists.
No, I can definitely agree with you on there. I work with Stop Beef from Radio. We work with artists for a very long time, and we always tell them don't rush to leave your own market trying to expand to these other markets, because we're calling back home. Like if you come to Indianapolis, where I'm from, and you tell me you from North Carolina, I'm calling DJ Chuck T and say, hey, is he working out here? Does he got a song that is bubbling? What's the reaction in the clubs and stuff like that? So you spend all your efforts trying to get known outside the market, but when we call home, if we don't know you, they don't know you. Like he said, it's not going to do that much for you. I know you've had this privilege of helping a lot of artists throughout your career. Can you give an example without names of those kind of conversations you've had to have where you endorse somebody, and because that positive word you gave them, you know that it helped them, move along into the next steps?
Oh man. I mean, I could go on and on and on with that. A lot of people just don't understand how important it is to be plugged in when you get to a certain level of your career. To really go from being a regional artist to being a national artist. A lot of people move off of recommendations. They move off of cosigns. They move off of good words, right? I've had to give a lot of good words. I don't think I've ever had to give a lot of bad words. Typically once somebody gets to a point in their career where I get the labels or I get other DJs or radio stations or TV networks or magazine calling to check somebody's background, I've already sort of connected with them and sort of put my hands somewhere into, the mix as far as their careers go, if they're from the Carolinas. But I've had to make phone calls to co-sign people for record deals. All right. I've had to co-sign people to get them spins in other markets. They may have had, quite a bit of spins here in the Carolinas, but before another radio station really mashed the gas on their record out of state, they call and do a little background check just to make sure that the numbers are real and make sure that the artist is working. Not too long ago, I had to make a phone call for an artist who was stuck in a situation where he signed to a label and they want to give him more money. I guess he sort of maxed out what his budget was. But he had to give them a plan. Okay, before we give you more money, what's your plan? All right, we gave you, and I think it was way more than what his advance was. This may have been this artist's second or third time coming to ask for money without having completed an album. All right, and the record label told him, look, you got to put a plan together. All right, we need to see a solid plan. No more just handing you money and crossing our fingers that you do right with it. He called me and he said, bro, I need a plan. I need you to sit down with me. I mean, he should have done this 7-8 months ago, but he was like, I want to sit down with you. Help me come up with a plan to push my music and sort of get my buzz up to where the label can really, really trust that I'm going to be that guy that they can really count on and put a bag behind and put their resources behind. And we sat down, we came up with a plan. He turned it into the label, and naturally they called me. They said, hey, Chuck, he said, you helped them come up with this plan now. Look, we about to release this money to him. We need to know that you really did help him come up with the plan, and not just that, but you're going to help him execute the plan. I had to let them know I was behind them. That was the only way they would give him the money.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because I think so many people think you get signed by a major label, you get this advance, and everything in your life is just amazing now. No, you got to go and show and prove to get any more budgets. And matter of fact, that advance you got 9 times out of 10, they already allocated those funds for something that you didn't know, and you bought a necklace out here. Now you have no more budget. So, I salute you on that. I know with you being a DJ and being in the record store as you was, how did you make that transition to being the DJ, and what kind of advantages does it give you think to have that record store background in breaking records the way you do?
Man, so I actually started off in the music business or in this industry as a rapper.
Okay.
Yeah, I started off as a rapper. And I just got to a point in my rap career where, I didn't feel like I was being 100% real with the fans, real with myself. Nowadays everybody lies and caps in their rap. I wasn't able to do it. I just wasn't able to do it. I wasn't able to know that I was going out selling 1 or 2 pounds of Reggie, but then I was in my rap saying that I had sold 20 pounds of cocaine.
Right.
I couldn't do it. So I actually bounced around. I did a little bit of artist management. I did a little bit of promotion. I ran a studio, did a little bit of engineering. Even signed the artist, put my own money up, and that was, a disaster. But I worked at a radio station. I literally bounced around, just trying to get in where I fit in and find what I loved. And, hip hop was the culture is just so broad. You don't have to just be stuck doing one thing or doing 2 things. You could do 3, 4, and 5 things in hip hop because the culture all meshes together. The music, along with, the fashion, the art, the production side of things, the video side of things. But because I was in the record store so much whenever, I was an artist, whenever I was a rapper, put my CDs in the stores on consignment, they would ask me about new releases that they didn't know about. So most of the people who worked in the record store were white kids, and most of them did not listen to hip hop. They listened to, rock music, punk music, all that other good stuff. But they really had no expert in rap music. And this was before rap was the top selling genre. Nowadays it's unheard of, to not have anybody, tapped in. But back then, rap was not the number 1 genre of music. But it was slowly coming up. So when I would come in just to drop off my own CDs, they would ask me, hey,
about this guy?
Yeah. Can you look at some of these new releases and tell us if they're buzzing in the streets? Can you tell us if this guy Little Boosie is hot? Can you tell us seriously? They say, could you tell us if Little John and the East Side Boys are a good group? How many of those CDs should we order? And naturally, since I was so tapped in, I used to tell them how many they should order, pass on this one, don't order this, nobody's checking for this artist, check out for this particular artist. He's bubbling underneath the radar right now. So they actually had a job opening, and they asked me to come and work. And I'm like, work? oh man, I'm doing my music. But they were like, no, we need your expertise. All right, we need your expertise. And I went ahead and I took the job. I thought about it for like a day or so, and I'm like, man, this could be my end as far as, you know, meeting artists that come through on promo tours, and, you know, meeting artists that are bubbling underneath the radar, being able to reach out and touch artists that I only see on BET and MTV. So I took the job. But in the meantime, I wasn't DJing yet. I was working at the radio station as an ad sales rep. So that was one of my jobs, you know, sort of finding my way. I talked about producing and, you know, running a studio, managing artists. I got a job at the radio station as an ad salesperson. And I slowly sort of climbed the ladder. You know, slowly climbed the ladder. Eventually, I got on air. But I did all of that at the same time. So I was working at the radio station. I was selling mixtapes out my trunk. I was promoting parties. I was DJing, and I was working at the record store all at the same time.
That's amazing. Now you have a lot of people you're mentoring these days. We'll get into your the foundation of music and all the dope stuff you're doing. But who were some of your early mentors when you first got started, either on the business side or the DJing side? Who were some of the people that helped you early on?
To be honest with you, man, whenever I was in the streets, you know, whenever I was doing illegal stuff, I had a lot of mentors. I had a lot of people, you know, giving me game, coaching me, you know, trying to point me in whatever path they thought was the right path. But once I got out the streets and I really started doing music full time and really, really going full time with it, I didn't have any mentors. Everything I have now, I learned off of trial and error. I learned off of failing. I learned from books. I learned from magazines. I learned from watching TV. You know, I soaked up as much knowledge as I could because I was in the Carolinas and I didn't have access to all of these legends and greats. I couldn't just be walking down the street and bump into Marley Marl and Grandmaster Flash and Funkmaster Flex and DJ Clue and DJ Envy and K Slay and Cutmaster C. I couldn't do that. I wasn't in those areas. You know, I wasn't in a position to where I'm in Atlanta and I can bump into Outkast just walking out the store one day. You know, Greg Street, you know, Raheem the Dream, you know, like I wasn't in an area where I just had these people with access to me. So I read a lot. I read a ton of books. And I stayed with my face in a magazine. Murder Dog magazine, the stores, Vibe, Double XL, Ozone, you know, Down magazine, any magazine that came out where they actually did real interviews with artists and with real people in the industry. I read them. You know, I was constantly watching BET and MTV. I was constantly in the music store reading Billboard magazine, reading what goes on behind the scenes, trying to see what was trending and what wasn't trending. I tried my best to compete with the New York DJs and the Atlanta DJs and the Florida DJs and the California DJs. And you know, it may have been a good thing, you know, because it made me work extremely hard. All right. And it could have been a bad thing because it took me a little longer to get to where I wanted to get in the music industry. It just depends on how you look at it. But either way it goes, the road is the same. And I made it to the finish line, you know, all the same. May have been a few years later, maybe a few years earlier, because I wasn't riding nobody's coattails. I didn't have an OG trying to keep me down, you know, or keep me behind the scenes. I just don't know. But I know that, man, the ride has been great either way. Yeah. Oh, man, you asked me a question. I totally forgot the question, but I forgot the answer. I got off subject. But you asked me when I was at the record store, who were some of the artists that I got to meet whenever they were on promo tour. All right. I got to meet Big Pun. All right. I got to meet Big Pun. Yup. I got to meet Pastor Troy as well. I got to meet BG from Cash Money. Man, I got to meet Lil Scrappy and Trillville and Crime Mob. This is right when they were at the height of their career doing Knuck If You Buck and Hair Buster. Man, the list goes on and on and on. There's so many artists that used to come in the record store on a regular basis. Man, this is back when people used to do like real live in stores. Like, I would have to set up the in-store, get the food, get the pizza, set up the displays with all of their CDs, lay out the table, and then because I knew how to DJ, they would have me DJ the in-stores as well.
That's amazing. Now, you're part of the legendary Core DJ crew. Shout out to Tony Neal. How did you link up with the Core DJs being in the Carolinas? Like you said, it's not, a lot of opportunities that come through that way. So how did you and the Core DJs link up, and how great does it feel to see how far all of you guys are now? You're all legends in your own right and have moved this culture forward in so many different ways.
Man, so I met Tony Neal just through moving and shaking in the music industry, going to music conferences, going to TJ's DJs down in Tallahassee, Florida, going to the Ozone Awards, going to the Southern Entertainment Awards, going to the Source Awards, and the circle gets smaller as you get to the top.
Yep.
So, the more and more you move around, the more and more you elevate, you only bump into a handful of people. You're not bumping into the crowds anymore. You start to see a lot of the same faces, and a lot of those faces are the people who are moving and shaking just as well as you are. So I had met Tony Neal back whenever I was real heavy in the mixtape game. I was DJing, but not that much. All right. I was mainly a mixtape DJ. Now, mixtapes are sort of obsolete to a large extent. So I'm in the clubs more than anything. I'm in the clubs and doing events more than anything. But back then it was mixtapes. And man, I just feel like the opportunity just never happened for us to sort of link. I feel like he was more on the Core DJs themselves, they were more based on club DJs, radio DJs, and TV personalities and things of that nature. Mixtapes weren't really the focus, and then all of us mixtape DJs, we were rogue anyway. Like, you wasn't getting us in no crew back then anyway. We were all rogue. All right. But after a while, yeah, we were all doing our own thing. Plus it was so fast paced. The mixtape game was super fast paced. There wasn't no, waiting around for a team or a crew. There wasn't no pushing the team priorities and all that other stuff. And back then, the mixtape music was super duper underground. So I couldn't have gotten with a crew like the Core DJs back then, because they were pushing the mainstream stuff. I was going out finding people in the dirt. I'm trying to find them where they still raw. By the time they get to the point where you can play them on the radio and in the clubs, they already out of here. I'm already on to the next. I done already got them up out of here. But we eventually ended up developing a friendship. And over the years, finally he said, "Hey, Chuck, shit, what I got to do to get you in the Core, man? Wow. I feel like now is the time. I feel like you've sort of grown into the OG role. You're not as brash. You're not as braggadocious as you used to be. You done sort of got older and calmed down. You're not going to be a liability. I've seen that you've withstood the test of time as well. On multiple occasions, people thought you wouldn't be around here anymore, and you've survived every last single one. So let's sit down. Let's see how we can make each other better. Let's see how I can make you a part of the Core." But there were Core DJs before me. There's they actually have a section called the Core Liners, all right, which is all of the Carolina DJs that are in the Core. And I think we're probably about 20 to 25 DJs deep. We got a deep crew.
Yeah. Now, you're doing the Foundation of Music. You started with the 2-day conference. I see now it's 3 days. Like I said, right now you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yep.
What made you start this conference in the first place? And what was your first experience like when you first did it?
Oh, man. So the Foundation of Music is a music business class that I created because hip hop, all genres of music fall into this category, but mainly hip hop artists get the short end of the stick. All right, not just the artists, but the producers, the DJs, the managers, the publicists. And there's no reason why we are the number one genre of music in the world, and it's been that way for the last 8 to 10 years. But our artists are still getting these horrible record deals, and not just our artists. If you get into the Taylor Swifts, there's just so many artists, period, that are getting jerked. We're in the technology age. We're in the information age. People always say like, artists are dumb or producers are dumb because all the information you need is out there on the internet. But I mean, you have a lot of bad information. You have a lot of wrong information. You have a lot of outdated information. And there's not really any schools, besides the Ivy League schools, that offer music business, like the in-depth music business. You can go to a nice college, whether it be HBCU or PWI, nice little Division I NCAA school, and they may have a music business program, but nothing intense like Harvard and Yale, where they're flying in, Puff Daddy, they're flying in Charlemagne the God, they're flying in Irv Gotti. They really are giving you the people in the top executives in the game to give you that knowledge. So I wanted to do something to where any and everybody, no matter what race, color, creed, no matter what genre of music you are in or do, can get real music industry knowledge. I've been in this business 22 years. I've seen artists come and go. I've seen the rich. I've seen the broke. I've seen the broke. I've seen the rich, and I've seen them switch back and forth five times, 5 or 6 times. And it all comes down to knowing the business. All right. The difference between a one-hit wonder and an artist with a 30-year career is knowing the business. All right. The art is subjective. The business is the only thing that's solid. What really got me into building the curriculum for the class was I had an artist who was signed to another artist. We always say, man, if you're an artist, don't sign to another artist, especially if they're active. But he was signed to another artist, and we thought he had made it. Everybody was like, oh, man, he made it. Oh man, he's going to the top. He's going to have a #1 record. We really thought that this artist was going to go crazy out here because he was going crazy as an independent artist. But when he signed, his buzz died. Everything sort of just slowed all the way down, and then we had an event here in Charlotte called CIAA, big basketball tournament with a lot of parties, a lot of concerts, but he got booked. And when he came into town, he had to sleep on my couch. Right? He couldn't afford, the hotel rooms were high as hell, but he couldn't afford them anyway. And I'm like, man, you just got paid like 30 grand for this show, bro. Like, why are you asking to sleep on the couch? And he like, man, I got to save every penny I can, bro. I got to save every penny I can. I'm broke. He said, shit, yeah, I got paid 30 grand for this show, but I'm like 150 grand in debt. We're not talking about what I owe the label. We just talking about bills and living expenses, people I owe money to for taking out loans. And when I talked to him about, when I talked to him about a deal, he didn't know anything. He didn't. I was just asking him, like, how did you end up broke? How do you sign and you get $250,000 as an advance? Like, how are you broke? And he had no answers. And that right there made me say, I got to learn the business.
Yeah, I salute you on that because, like you said, there's a lot of information out there. We can all go read So You Want to Be in the Music Industry by Donald Pascom. We can go to YouTube, but you can get DJ Chuck T, who is a record breaker, a tastemaker, a worldwide DJ, to not tell you what he thinks needs to happen, but I'm going to tell you how the place has worked all these years. Exactly. What made you guys do free? Like, I seen it was a 3-day conference and it's free, and you're giving away computers at the end. What made you guys add that to it?
So, my class started off as a 1-day class, 3-hour class. one day, 4-hour class, and it has grown to a 3-day, 6-hour per day class. Because the music industry grows, and the more I teach artists and the more they have questions, the more I add to the curriculum. And I've been doing the course in Charlotte, North Carolina, back home for roughly about 5 years now. And I have the privilege of meeting people who take the class who fly in from other places.
Yep.
And I had a good friend of mine who I met whenever I was at the record store 20 years ago. He ended up getting some information on the class from some people from Chattanooga who came to take the class. And he said, "Oh man, that's my man Chuck T. Okay, all right. I didn't know y'all were going to North Carolina to take the class. Like, I know bro personally, known him for years." And he called me and he said, "Hey man, I had some artists from here in Chattanooga tell me they took your class. They loved the class. I'm working with a nonprofit organization here in Tennessee who does Chattanooga Hip Hop Week and the Chattanooga Hip Hop Summit. And I'm gonna plug you with them. I feel like they could use a lot of your expertise. They could use a lot of your industry experience. And there's probably something that y'all can put together with the class because they got this huge grant to provide support for artists in Chattanooga." So he passed me the plug. Look, and I took it and I plugged it in the socket. And here we are, probably about 2 years later. They brought me down to Chattanooga every year for the Chattanooga Hip Hop Summit. And then the Chattanooga Hip Hop Summit grew into the Chattanooga Hip Hop Week. And one of the reasons they were able to grow it into a week-long situation versus just a weekend situation was doing part of my class. My class is a 3-day course, so that covers 3 days worth of events where you can really, really get artists that knowledge, because naturally, when a lot of music conferences and things like that, it's all about the parties and the showcases. They may do a few panel discussions, but nothing where they actually are giving you enrichment, like somebody sitting down teaching you the game. The nonprofit that brought me down for Chattanooga Hip Hop Week, they have a division that specializes in tech. All right, it's called Tech Goes Home Tennessee. And Tech Goes Home is a nonprofit organization that's focused on bringing technological advancement to impoverished areas and low-income areas. And they partnered up together, and we're able to do my class, the Foundation of Music class, free of charge to Tennessee residents, and they get a free laptop courtesy of Tech Goes Home.
Yeah, that's amazing. I see you got to complete the full class, so you can't just show up day one and get the laptop.
Yep.
You got to do the whole
you gotta
class.
go for all 3 days.
Are you thinking about expanding now? You've got the Carolinas, you've got Tennessee now kind of locked down. Have you thought about venturing outside to any other markets, or moving into more of a digital conference?
No, that's the goal. The goal is to get me a Sprinter van and do this for the longest. You know what I'm saying? This is my retirement plan. I can't be 70 years old. Seriously, I can't be 70 years old carrying them huge ass speakers into venues and doing weddings and doing cookouts and bar mitzvahs and car shows and eventually you get to a point where you're not necessarily age out, but you're not the hot popular person anymore. So those prices sort of drop a little bit. Those big events sort of drop a little bit. And I've always thought ahead. And this is something I can do until I'm 90 years old, till I literally can't do it no more. Being able to teach is something I enjoy doing. Staying on point and up to date with music is something I enjoy doing. But my job, my main goal right now, my focus is to give me a Sprinter van, load it up with all of my course materials and my whiteboard and give me one of those big mobile smart boards and just go around from city to city and teach the music business. And the best part about working with this nonprofit is called Soundcore. The best part about working with them is man, I've been able to see that there's money out there for it. They get big grants. Yep. They get big grants to do this in Tennessee. I'm talking about at the Hip Hop Week last year, they had Dame Dash as a guest speaker. We've had Wendy Day come in. We've had pretty much people from all the different labels come in. This year, they're going to have Bun B as the keynote speaker. Bun B from UGK as the keynote speaker at the Hip Hop Summit. And then I'm going to come in and teach the class again. So when they talk to me about how much money they get in grants, I'm like, man, I can take that money. I can buy my Sprinter van. I can buy everything I need to do, and I could literally, for some of the amounts of money that they tell me they get to hold these events and these seminars and these conferences, I could literally do it all over the country free of charge. I'm talking about free of charge.
Yep. You start a nonprofit organization. You've got these relationships, even with core DJs, say, hey, I've got a national campaign. We're going to roll out city to city, teaching the business of music and entertainment. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and give me the Sprinter. It's kind of easy because there's so much money being spent right now in entertainment because they're trying to give people in communities and cities music again. They took it away from them. So now they're trying to figure out ways to get it back in there.
Mm-hmm. You're correct.
Now, I know you also do one-on-one consultation. So if they're not going to the 3-day conference with you where it's free and they want to do a one-on-one consultation with you, what's the process to get that started? And what's, some of the things they can expect if they have that conversation with you?
Man, they can it's easy. Hit the link in my bio. I make it very, very easy to do business with me and give me money. It is very, when people say, when I'm out and about and they say, man, you a hard person to get in contact with, I always tell them, man, you a damn liar, bro. All you got to do is hit the link in my bio and it gives you my phone number. You can call me directly. No, definitely with my one-on-one consultations, I charge anywhere from $150 to $250 an hour, and we can talk about anything from getting your business together, how to register your music, how to get your LLC, EIN number, DUNS number. We talk about business credit. We can talk about marketing and promotion, how to optimize your ads and so forth for Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We could talk about the quality of your record. Most people typically book me to have me listen to their music. They'll book me for an hour and we'll listen to their music the whole hour. Help me pick a single. You know what I'm saying? Help me pick songs for my album. I got, 50 songs on the album. Let's narrow it down to at least 15, Chuck. Let's sit down and help me arrange the album the way it feels right and it sounds good. So, all of that, anything that I have in my bag, anything that I have as my expertise is available to you.
One thing I saw really dope about what you're doing with your digital presence, I went to your website. You're still selling the mixtapes on your website. Like I tell so many DJs to do that because it's a platform out there for you. How do people respond when they see that you still have these classics available to them? And are you thinking about getting back into the mixtape game? I know you said it's dead, but there's starting to be a resurgence right now. Have you given any thought to getting back into it?
Yeah, so my website is still up. Everything that is on my website, is for sale. I still have copies of it. I still burn CDs. I still have all my CD burners, my CD printers. I don't sell very many CDs off of my website, but it gives me a rush whenever people order a CD and they're like, man, I had this CD 12 years ago. I lost it. I just so happened to be on Google and I typed it in and I saw that, your site is up and it's active. I'm just emailing you to see if I buy it. Will I really get it? And I reply, I'm like, yeah, go ahead, buy it. I'm gonna send it to you. So man, just that excitement. People like, man, Chuck, I've been listening. I've been dying to listen to this song for like 15, 20 years, man. I haven't listened to it since my CD player, went out in my car. My CDs my car got broken into and my CDs got stolen. So, it's rewarding. It's very rewarding. But as far as the mixtapes go, as far as CDs go, I still do a lot of CD and DVD duplication.
Okay.
Yeah, I still do a lot of it. And I feel like artists don't understand the importance of it as far as money goes. Nowadays, CDs and DVDs are merchandise. They're not necessarily a medium for people to listen to your music. They can do that on their phones, right? But for people who really, really love you, you're real fans, and Taylor Swift proved this, you can still sell just as many CDs, DVDs, and vinyl as you can streams. All right, as you can stream. People think streaming is the be all and end all. All I hear is people crying about there's no money in streaming. Well, get your ass out here and sell some CDs. You know, create an experience. I have artists that I try to get to sell CDs, and I tell them, look, autograph the CD. Let's make them limited edition. All right, don't go cheap. Let's do the full thing, the front cover, back cover, all that good stuff. Let's print on top of the CD in full color. Let's give them a real live collector's edition. Now, whereas you could only sell that CD for $5 whenever CDs were used to actually listen to music, this CD is now a limited collector's edition. Let's sell it for $20.
Yep. And people are going to buy it, especially
it's an experience.
They have that connection to you.
Yep. But nah, man, look, I'm still going. I feel like if we get back to the mixtape game, I still got it. You know what I'm saying? I still got it. I still got my mouthpiece. I still get on there and cut and scratch and bring records back. Like, man, let's do it. Any artist who's watching this, you want to put out a quality mixtape, bring that nostalgia back, man, let's do it. Holla at me.
Now, you're still very active with independent artists. Like you said, you like finding the up-and-coming people. You do the reverb on all your social medias. What's that experience been like trying out or giving these artists these platforms to have their music heard? And what's an artist that you found from these, these sessions that you really liked and actually, got to work with it or, helped them because of how dope the song was when you heard it?
So, man, first thing comes to mind is an artist by the name of Lowski. And he's the first person on my mind because I literally just checked my inbox before I came on the show. And he had made a IG story where he said, man, Chuck T is one of the best mentors ever. That's coming from me. Dude is solid. So Lowski had a song that he submitted to the Reverb Music Review whenever we really, really first started getting up and running. All right. The name of the song is called Lord Have Mercy. So he got a perfect rating on the song. All right. Wow. I loved it. Everybody in the comments loved it. All the viewers loved it. I'm telling him, push the song, push the song, push the song. Don't slow down. Push the song. Go crazy with the song. Put your all into the song. He was like, man, that's what I need to hear. Like, the DJs in my area are cool, but having somebody who has that knowledge and that real experience, who's worked with multi-platinum artists, tell me this is the song, that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to push it. 6 months later, he signed to Maybach Music. Yep, 6 months later, he signed to Maybach Music. So congratulations to Lowski. Also, man, there's an artist. He is so hot. He goes by the name of Kid Travis. He has somebody who was a family member of his submit some music to the Reverb. And I've watched him grow. He is amazing. All right. He is amazing. He's more like R&B pop, but, a little bit of rock. But his name is Kid Travis. He's real dope. There's another guy. He's bubbling underneath the radar. He goes by the name of Babel. All right. Bable. He submits music to the Reverb Music Review, and he's more of a rock alternative type of vibe as well. He's amazing, has an amazing voice, writes, produces his own music. The list goes on and on. The list goes on and on.
That's what's so good about doing those type of opportunities for your fans or your artists. Sometimes you find some diamonds in the rough, and then those seem to be the hardest working artists sometimes, that they just need somebody like you to hear them. I know a lot of artists can get information from this. When we push a song, from your perspective, how long should I push a hot song? Like you said, hey, you got a hot song, push it, keep pushing it. I think artists get confused sometimes on how they should handle that request from a DJ. So in your opinion, how long should they be pushing the song, and should they keep pushing out new songs or just focus on that one?
So I tell people, always have a single 1 or 2 songs that you're pushing, but then still release music on the regular basis. All right. You need 1 or 2 songs that describe you. All right. You know, when you're in regular business, they tell you to have your elevator pitch. All right.
Yeah.
The elevator pitch is tell us who you are and what it is you do and why we should deal with you or do business with you within 15, 20 seconds. All right. Having 1 or 2 hot singles is your elevator pitch as an artist. All right. You constantly need to be working, constantly need to be releasing content, constantly need to be building up your catalog. Because when a major label comes to you and they see that you already have a catalog, not only are they going to sign you for what you can do, but they're going to try to capture your back catalog as well, which is millions of dollars worth of music. All right. Even if you just license it to them, you don't got to sell it to them. It doesn't have to be a part of your regular record deal or your main record deal. You know, it could be a totally different type of agreement. You could just agree to let them distribute it. All right. And they're going to give you a big bag for it because they know that the amount of money that they're about to put into you is going to make everybody go backwards and listen to your back catalog. All right, they're going to listen to the new music, but when they go on your Spotify page and they see you got 7 albums already out, they're going to go backwards and listen to all 7 albums. All right, so the majors know that. So the bigger the bag you can get, the more you release the music. But I tell people, push a song as long as you're getting a good reaction to it. All right. Could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 2 years. I know people who've literally had to push a single for 3 years before it popped. You know, and I'm talking about push, not just peppering it out there, posting it occasionally. You know, not just putting a little $50, $75 worth of ads on it here and there. I'm talking about a real push. Like they really had to focus on a record. I know people who pushed a song for 3 years before it blew.
Yeah, I agree. Like artists, they and if they push it a little bit, like you said, don't just put a $50 ad on it, but no, you got to really do a campaign. You got to go get the core DJs, do the retreat. You got to get on the ground, to get on the road, all that type of stuff for it to work for you. Now you do a lot for your community. I'm going to highlight 2 things. I've seen the Livingston College 4 C's a content creation camp. So what's it like giving kids this kind of information in the social, social community we live in now, where they need to know those 4 C's? What's it like giving that to those kids, and how are they responding to it for you?
Man, I love kids, man. I love kids. I only have 2 myself, but I love kids. And in this business, man, you know, we deal with so many shysters, so many scammers. You know, we deal with so many people who want to be tough, want to be hard, want to be too cool. It's just one big pissing contest. You know what I'm saying? Who has the biggest dick? You know, no Diddy. But that's typically what it's like in the hip hop industry. So when I can be out of that element and really be around purity, really be around people who just love to have you there. They're not looking for anything from you. They're not about to ask you for no money. They're not about to ask you to break their record. They're not about to ask you to plug them in with the baby. You know, they're not about to ask you for anything. They just genuinely want to learn the art form. Man, I jump at the opportunity, and right now, you know, it's the little kids. So I'm constantly trying to mentor and go into schools wherever I can reach kids between the ages of maybe 10 and 15. You know what I'm saying? Really 8 and 15. You know, that's when they really sort of, you know, have those creative juices flowing. So I'm constantly in the schools. I'm constantly at camps. Definitely summer camps, and I always bring my equipment with me. I always let the kids play on the turntables, on the controller. I give them a crash course in DJing. But that 4 C's content creation camp was started by Miss Good News, who is over WLJZ, which is the Livingstone College radio station, and she started the camp because so many people want to know, like, what goes on behind the scenes at radio stations. What is it that DJs do? How can I be an influencer? How can I be a host? So she created that content creation camp because we have so many young people who want to learn how to create content. They want to be influencers. They want to be in the music industry. And she naturally calls me in to help out every time because A, she know I love kids and I'm gonna show up, and then B, she knows that I'm a teacher. At this point, I really am an educator. So I love being able to educate. I love being able to be in the room with those kids and show them how to DJ, teach them the ins and outs of DJing and content creation.
Now, I seen you also are part of Hump Week coming up. You posted it. They had 25 free kids, and then as soon as you made the post, somebody came in and said, I'm going to match that. So, 50 kids are going to go to camp for this opportunity because of what you and your team are doing. So can you give us a little bit more about what Hump Week is and how does it feel to be able to put these 50 kids in camp and, get this experience?
So Who Got Game CLT, or Who Got Game Charlotte, is a basketball camp or a basketball program that specializes in teaching kids the fundamentals of basketball, and then they also have a basketball league similar to AAU. It started by Malcolm and Jalen Sanders. Malcolm Sanders is one of the people here in Charlotte, North Carolina, who taught Steph Curry how to play basketball. Oh, wow. Yeah, he taught Steph Curry how to play basketball. He's in with all of the basketball players, all the major players who come through the Carolinas. He's cool, Michael Jordan and all that. And his son Jalen started Who Got Game. And they do a lot of free stuff. They have a lot of basketball players who come in and they sponsor the camp because the camp is really, really good. Like, it's not just, and I hate to say it like this, is not just a way for somebody to take advantage of single mothers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these camps, that's all it is. It's just some horny ass men trying to take advantage of single mothers and get close to the kids and use the kids to fuck all the single moms. That is not what he does. They really care about these kids. They really get in here and they teach these kids the fundamentals. Anybody who donates money, they take the money and use it for the kids, man. So I always support Who Got Game Charlotte. They're an amazing organization. Shout out to Malcolm. Shout out to Jalen. And all I did was repost the flyer. You know what I'm saying? All I did was repost the flyer. DJ Humphreys wanted to sponsor some kids to go to camp. And, like you said, you seen people in the comments saying, I'm going to match it. All right? They saying they going to match it. So God is good. Shout out to Who Got Game Charlotte. And shout out to everybody, who donates to Who Got Game Charlotte. They do a lot of great things in the community based off of donations from basketball players and sports stars.
Yeah. And then, you're with the Hornets, you work with the Hornets. How did that opportunity present itself? And when you called home to your family and said, hey, they want me to, do this, what was the response like, to be when they got that great news?
Man, so Music Industry Night is the first of its kind in the NBA. All right. The Charlotte Hornets have the first ever Music Industry Night. And man, it felt good that they tapped me to actually lead the night. I started off as just one of the organizers, one of the people who sort of helped the Hornets to get it together. And now it's mine. You know what I'm saying? They've given me total control over the night, total control over how the night runs, total control over who performs and who doesn't perform. And they even opened up my performance list to include the national anthem. So I get to pick the people who sing the national anthem, and I get to pick the people who do the pregame and postgame performances. Before the game, whenever people are coming to the arena, they typically have somebody on the court doing covers, amping the crowd up, getting them hype. And then after the game, we have a postgame concert. So, Music Industry Night was just one of those things that came at an opportune time because I kept thinking to myself, how can I elevate, without actually doing what other people are doing? Like, how can I get out of just doing the local clubs and doing showcases for these independent artists? I teach the classes. I do a lot, but I don't feel like I'm elevating. And the Hornets saw that the music scene in the Carolinas was growing. We just had the Baby blow up. We had Tootsie blow up. So they were saying to themselves, if we have these independent artists, if we now have our own stars here, the best way to merge basketball in the urban culture is through the music. Also at the time, Miles Bridges, who's a player for the Hornets, he started rapping, and Terry Rozier, who played for the Hornets, he now plays for the Miami Heat. He was rapping as well. So all of that sort of came right in time. And, the people in the marketing department and in the group sales department got together. They said, we want to tap into the music side of things, because the music side of things seem to be, I mean, we know basketball and hip hop, they go hand in hand anyway. Shaq, Allen Iverson, even Kobe Bryant tried to rap, Damian Lillard, the list goes on. And, even when you start moving outside of the music into just the dress, the style, all of that is hip hop influence. So they sat down, they brainstormed, they tried to find a way to sort of, merge the two. They came up with Hornets Music Industry Night. They went around and asked people in the building and outside the building who they could get on the hip hop side to help them. They say, everybody said my name. So we sat down to the table, we got it together, we signed the contract, we good to go, man. And now we are going into season number 5.
Yeah, congratulations on that. 5 years is a major accomplishment. And then the last thing, you got the Who's Buzzing. Once again, you're giving artists an opportunity for a major platform. What is Who Buzzing for people who's not familiar? And if I'm an artist and want to be a part of it, what's the steps to get the opportunity?
It's just another platform. So many artists sit down with me and they want to know, like, and this is one of the main reasons why I don't see why so many platforms and so many people who's quote unquote cater to independent artists beef with each other so much. It's like you're fighting over the money. But every time I deal with independent artists, they want to know who else they can spend money with. When they sit down, they just don't want to hear about one person. If they say, Chuck, I want to get hot, I want to get a buzz, they want to know everybody. They trying to spend money with all of the people who are in their budget. They're not just trying to go with one person. And that's the issue nowadays. People try to hog that money. They try to take that one artist and keep them all to themselves, rather than saying, like, hey, let me turn this artist on to 20, 30 different people who can help them, and let's set up a pipeline for these artists, and when these artists get big and when they blow, they're naturally going to shout us out. They're going to shout out the pipeline. People are going to see the results, and they're going to keep the money coming. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Who's Buzzing is a mic drop platform. I do an interview with the artist as well. I thought that the mic drop stuff was going to get played out. It was going to die. But now we probably about 3 years, 4 years in, it's still going in. It's still going on. People come to Charlotte. They see that I work with the Hornets. They love the Hornet backdrop, the Hornet logo. They love the interview I give them. They love being able to premiere their music and debut their music and get exposure for their music. And they know that so many of those places are out of town. So it feels good when people can come to Charlotte and do the same thing right there in their hometown. Or if you're not from Charlotte, and you want to get a buzz in Charlotte, that's a platform that's available to you as well. So it's been popping. It's been going. I started off with my favorite artists here in the Carolinas. I still haven't gotten around to all of them, but I'm getting around to them. And everybody has seen it. They've seen how effective it is. They love the platform. They love the fact that when I do the interviews, I'm not over here asking them about, how they used to sell drugs or if they killed anybody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm not over here trying to get them to incriminate themselves. But they love the platform. I love being able to give artists the exposure that they need. And that's one of the platforms that people ask for. One thing that I learned from working in the record store is ask the people what they want. Ask your customers and potential customers what they want. Yeah. And whenever I ask these artists what they want, they always say more platforms for exposure. More platforms to get our music out there, get our story out there, and tell who we are as people and as artists. So I went ahead and locked in. I already had the cameras. I already knew how to edit videos. All I had to do was buy a boom mic stand to hang the mic from, and boom, we out of here.
Now, how important is a team to you, and who are some of the team members that help make your operation the success it is today?
So, man, teams are extremely important. I'm one of those people that prefers to sort of move more on a solo level just because I know how I am. I move fast. So the saying goes, if you want to move fast, move by yourself. If you want to go far, get you a team. You know, I like to move fast, so I don't really deal with a lot of people, but I have a great network. I don't have a team. I tell people that all the time. I don't have a team, but I have an amazing network. One thing I live by is your net worth is determined by your network. The people you hang around, the people you associate with, the people you choose to do business with. And that's one of the things that I do anytime I go someplace, anytime I go somewhere, man, I'm always looking for who's who. And I want to meet them. I want to talk to them. I want to connect with them. I want to see how we can help each other. So I have an amazing network. I'm talking about all 50 states and maybe 12 countries. Wherever I go, there's somebody I can call, you know?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Shout out to my family, Jay Classic. You did a show with us called Boss Talk Nation in the past.
Yeah, Jay Classic, my homie.
Those relationships.
Yeah, Jay Classic is the homie. We've known each other for years.
Do you outside of music, if you got downtime and you got time to yourself, what do you do to enjoy yourself?
Man, I'm adventurous, man. So I'm whitewater rafting, I'm zip lining, you know what I'm saying? I'm skiing in the winter, you know, I'm on dirt bikes, I'm on ATVs. That's what I do, quote unquote, for fun, because most people go to the club for fun, but that's a job for me. I don't even like, look, I don't even like doing it when I'm getting paid sometimes. So when on days when I'm not getting paid, I try to stay as far away from the clubs and crowds of people as possible. So I'm an adventurous type of person, man. I've had to do that to sort of offset the partying. You know what I'm saying? So fun for me is being outdoors.
I think we found your first sponsorship for the free conferences, Mountain Dew or Prime Energy drinks. They love that that alternative sports environment. So if you're going to travel the world, get free game, and maybe be on a bike or doing some White River rafting or something like that, they probably would.
Look, to be honest with you, Prime would probably do something with me now that you think about it, because they throwing around a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of. Now I really appreciate your time tonight. I know we went over a lot, man. I'm just a big fan of yours for all these years, and I wanted to highlight all the dope stuff you're doing for your community. Anything else we want to make sure we mention that we may not have got to tonight?
Man, you got to everything. The only thing I could say is follow me on all platforms at DJ Chuck T, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. They shut my Twitter down. It's still there. You can't DM me, but Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. All you got to do is hit the link in my bio to take you straight to me. Also, DJChuckT.com is your one-stop shop to all things DJ Chuck T.
Definitely, man. Well, I appreciate your time tonight. I hope you have a great night.
Man, thank